welcome to Winterberg in Germany, where we are enjoying some of the brightest, sunniest conditions so far in this FIBT Wiesmann World Cup season. And here at one of Germany's prime sliding venues, we're ready for the first of two heats of round 4 of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. Crowds lining the track, eager to see a German victory, which so far has not happened this weekend. Well, hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me, NBC's bobsleigh expert, John Morgan. John, this looks like an easy track, but the devil is in the detail.
It's a short 1,330-meter track, one of the shortest on tour. Very easy to get down, but watch the way it drops off here, really quick. And this curve coming up, they added this about 7 years ago. It used to be a longer straightaway. This little chink curve here causes lots of problems, especially in bobsledding where they got to load the sled, get in, can't make any mistakes here. Exit this big omega curve, and then they go uphill. See this section here? And uphill here, you can make no mistakes. No, the sled's got to be quiet. Then the sled just starts to rocket out of 4, 6, now into the big Kreisel curve coming up. Kreisel, big 360 whip around. You want to exit with the slingshot effect. The bottom part of the track, curve 9. This is where all the problems are for the athletes. Up and down here, you can get into a skid into 10. And then now watch how quick this 11, 12 comes at you. Labyrinth right, hard left, bang, into the finish. Uphill section of the finish. Very easy track to get down, Martin, but pretty tough to get down fast.
Well, normally it's one mistake that costs you any chance of moving up in your run. So far this weekend, in women and men's skeleton and the women's bobsleigh, we've seen the track record destroyed. Stephen Holcomb has been unbeaten so far in World Cup racing in the two-man this year. He leads the World Cup rankings with a perfect score ahead of Germany's Francesco Frisia. But look at young Corey Butner, the US athlete, in 3rd spot in those overall rankings. However, now we're back in Europe. There's a load of new sleds join the field. We've got some smaller nations that compete normally only in Europe, but we got some big guns, and here's one of the biggest. Beat Hefty, the Swiss, owns the start and the track record here. They've stood for 4 years. The ice has been so fast this weekend already, everybody's questioning whether they will last for 4 minutes into this men's two-man race. Well, there's Manuel Mahata, one of the drivers who would love to put Germany on the top step of the podium here, John. They led off the first heat in the women's race, but they have got a lot of work to do here. Simone Battazza of Italy leads the field away, but you've got to look then behind him at rush arms. Zubkov, Holcomb, unbeaten this season, and the rest of them for fast times.
Well, the track this morning, really an advantage to the people who went off early at women's bobsledding. Great race we saw. Florschutz makes his debut. Watch out for him. He won double here last year, 2 and 4. Then he tore up that Achilles and calf injury. We didn't see him the rest of the year.
Well, pre-season injury this year has kept him in Europe as well, but he is still Germany's #1 slider. Top of the track, and the best start draw perhaps for Italy's Simone Battazza and Francesco Costa. They will head off this 27 sled field.
You can see the crowds here. They like their bobsledding in Winterberg. Simone, look at the lines, 5:29. He's our rabbit. The team, 62.8. Keep your eye on that. That's the telltale sign. Up top, no mistakes allowed up here. Right down the middle. No steering variance at all. There's a tap. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're only going 35 miles an hour, that makes a big difference. Entrance to Kreisel. We'll give you the entrance to Kreisel speed. Now the exit of Kreisel speed. That's it there, 100 kilometers. Track looks fast.
Yes, it does. Bright, sunny conditions, but bobsled tracks are built on the shady side of the mountain to avoid problems with the sun. The ice is glassy fast, 132 kilometers an hour, 82 miles an hour, 56.05. The all-time record is 55.86.
Track record's going down.
2:10.
Track record's going down. After that right there, Simone's been about 30 hundredths off the pace each heat consistently this year, and only because he gets a deficient start time. His start time, 5:29. I think the track record's going down the next run. Next guy coming up.
Right.
Look at the power. Look at the brakeman's head. Now see this going down, up and down, side to side. When you see him going side to side, that's a waste of energy. There's some great instruction there for Francisco Costa, veteran brakeman for Simone. Watch him flick the push bar down. He's got a little mechanism there. Sometimes that doesn't work, which causes a little stress.
Top of the ice, Lyndon Rush of Canada, Jesse Lumsden, former CFL player, behind him. Jesse will be joining us in the announce booth for the team's competition later on this afternoon. But first, he's got a job of work to do. Start record as well, 5:07. That is going to come under fire here.
Two big, powerful athletes should get probably the teens here. 5:18, 1100's better. I think the start record's safe. Let's see, we're going to see a 07. We might see some lows, maybe some 511s or something. One thing that's not safe is the track record. He's 2200s better than a team who just came down, who was only, what, 20 hundredths off the start or the track record. So if you start seeing 31, track record's in jeopardy.
This is a good run, over 1 kilometre an hour faster than the Italians. Already over 60 miles an hour and accelerating hard into the Kreisel.
34. So at this pace, the track record is history. Jesse Lumsden, who crashed in the final run in Whistler.
Same speed as the Italians down at the bottom. Track records for Lyndon Rush, 55.64. Well, there you go. It didn't even take 4 minutes from the start of the race for it to go. Second sled out of the box. New track record. How many more times will the mark be lowered? Well, John, that's very nearly a quarter second quicker. You know, today we've just seen so much pace on this ice.
High fives from somebody carrying a Canadian flag at the bottom, but here's into Kreisel. Exit, look at the lines. Now he's a little bit above the drive lines, then he comes back up. That looked like a little wave in there. I think he made a little mistake there in the Kreisel. Good pickup. Good pickup.
Everybody back at home up early. Love y'all.
Love you too, Jesse.
Let's just start.
There's Lyndon. 5:18, tell him. 5:18.
A little enthusiasm there, right?
Well, you know, a couple of errors maybe.
Max Arndt's already off. Max Arndt's already off.
Max Arndt not hanging around. Started 5:31 though. Not a great getaway.
Boy, he must have went quick.
We missed the top of the track. 8 mistakes. He's a quarter of a second back, 3/10 back.
That's a start. He doesn't get a good start. 5:31 start. Something happened there.
There's mistakes as well.
Of course, we didn't see it, but something happened to him at the start.
100.5 kilometers an hour. Now that's top speed. We've not seen anybody that quick.
Yeah, he's a good pilot. You expect him to come back here a little bit, but 3100s, he's going to have all he can do to get within 2/10 here. Big
Same speed at the bottom as everybody else. 55.93, quarter of a second back.
Yeah, but he's 1300s back at the start, and he's 2900s back at the bottom. All things being equal, 1300s, he should be 3900s. Yeah. That means he drove a better sled.
He made mistakes as well. When we picked up the sled, he was already skidding into the wall. Okay, we're hearing now disqualification. He started before the green light. That's why the camera crew were not ready for him. There's a 2-minute interval between each sled starting, and until that red light goes green and the 60-second countdown starts, you can't go. Max Arndt is out of the race.
Unbelievable that a veteran guy like this can make that type of mistake.
Well, you know,
listen.
You can jump offside in a scrimmage.
Look at the coach.
Rennie Spies there, local boy.
Listen. He went a minute too early. He had to. We didn't pick him up till the... Look how disappointed these guys are.
We know, and John, for safety reasons, you have this 2 minutes between the sleds to allow the other sled to get out of the track, because these things moving at 75 miles an hour, you know, they weigh 600 kilos, 1,200 pounds. So it's going to be a bit of a long wait now for Alexander Zubkov, and that is the most schoolboy of schoolboy errors.
Zubkov taking his time here.
Well, he's got to wait an extra minute because Arndt cleared off. They got his sled ready.
I still think there'll be 2 minutes 10 from the time he gets to the finish line. The light's been on, usually looking very
You hear the
cool,
ding dong.
really cool, calm dude here. So, didn't take long. Track record, then a disqualification for just stupidity.
Oh, unbelievable.
Never seen it.
And from the Germans.
Yeah, in Winterberg. Zubkov doesn't get the start in the 2-man that he does in the 4. 5:22, pretty decent tap there. Big speed in the left, 63.2. That's similar.
Good.
That's similar.
Good.
That's way better than Jesse. Yeah, no, that's about similar to Jesse. He's +7. Probably stopped the bleeding right there on Jesse Lumsden. Beautiful line there. Now versus where it just drops out of a 3-story building. +8. 95.3. He's going to need
exactly the same as the Canadians.
Well, that won't do him any good unless he has better speed here at this next exit point on the left. Right now, the speed 1.7. That 100.7. That's better, but boy, he was late there on 9. A lot of pressure on 9. 132 kilometers, which is 82 miles an hour. It's a dead heat. He's got the big speed. He'll take the lead.
It's going to be a few hundreds in it.
Track record.
New track record. 400ths of a second he leads. Wow. What a day we're having here in Winterberg. Woke up to a beautiful morning. The weather has remained stunning. The crowds are enjoying it. And we've got 2 track records and a disqualification in the first 4 sleds. Amazing stuff. And this is supposed to be the simple track where not much happens.
And Zubkov really hadn't done that well at 2-man this year. These were the quiet lines, the speed. Here he comes at the top of the track. I mean, he was just perfect. No variance. Although the brakeman, we see him bouncing around back there a little bit.
A bit of a bobble.
Yeah, this is in curve 9.
Well, Alexander Zubkov leads the race from Lyndon Rush. That's Janis Becker, his brakeman.
No, it's
Alex Roediger. Okay, well, that's a late change because Janis Becker was down on the entry list.
Yeah.
So all sorts of
Maybe that's another reason why they're disqualified. We didn't see that.
Oscars Melbardis next up with Daumans Driskins. Now then, 5:07 is the start record. Is he going to see this as a challenge?
He's going to get close. He's going to break it or be real close. Let's listen. Couple big tight ends pushing this sled. Probably at least a 5:10. Oh, big mistake though. 5:12. Big mistake. That's him. He just doesn't have. Look at the speed. 62.7. He's a kilometer down already. That's relative to the way you saw those rudder tips going back and forth. He's the only chance he's got is when he's great start and he's going to make the mistakes down the track, but he's going to make him at 70 miles an hour and not 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, this is the opposite to your road car. You make a mistake in a road car at 20 miles an hour, it doesn't cost you much. You get sideways at 70 and you're having a much bigger accident. This is the opposite. You lose more speed when you're going slower compared to when you're going faster. Not a great run through corner 9.
No, he's inexperienced, but he's the best pushing driver in the world. He's probably the only guy in the competition that'd be one of the best brakemen in the world.
Yeah.
And he's in the front seat as a driver. And
just needs time on the ice to learn how to control that speed.
And he doesn't put 2 good heats together. He's always got 1 good one, 1 bad one. This is probably his bad one. He'll come out the next heat, keeps that sled straight up above curve 1. He'll do much better.
Well, he was still in short trousers when Zubkov started to race luge at World Cup level, so he's got a lot of making up to do on some of the fastest guys.
Look at the power, look at the calves, look at the size of these guys. Huge man to get down there. This is the mistake here, though. Look at the rudder tips. Look at him playing with it. Trying to stay with the wall. Airborne.
Well, that's
on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a big mistake, that was about a 12.
Yeah, that was getting on there. They didn't use their helmets, but apart from that, it wasn't pretty. Next up is Corey Buckner of the USA with Johnny Quinn. Some sled changes going on in the Bodine program. Wrecked a sled in the States in Whistler, and so they've had to bring a new sled over to Europe.
This is his same sled he was driving in the US. In fact, this might have been Nick Cunningham's sled. Johnny Quinn. Kentucky guy, football player. There's another mistake right there.
Oh,
2 in a row.
dear.
He's done. 2 rookies, not rookies, but Mel Bardis and Corey Butner here are inexperienced, and probably Corey's first time on this track.
Yes,
He's only had 3 practice trips, but now it's he hopes to point the sled dead down the middle the rest of the way, because as I said, when you make a mistake like he just made and like Mel Bardis made, he's a little late in that curve, late there in that curve too.
Well, let's underline the difference between today and training, John. It snowed every day in training. This is a different, clear highway. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, this is a lot faster, and which means he hasn't been down this track. He did crash in practice, and I think that's where he crashed in practice. But there's an example of somebody going really close to being over.
Great speed at the bottom still.
He beat Mel Bardis.
Yeah.
And Mel Bardis beat him at the start by 1600ths.
And it's not as if he had a clear corner 1 either, Corey.
He didn't have a very good start. He's even having better starts than that. He almost had a long 100 yards. Here's the start. The first mistake. This mistake only cost them time. Same thing, Mel Bardis. Watch how violent that hit is, and the back end of the sled come up in the air. That's 3,500s right there. And then watch out of curve 9. You want to be a bobsledder? Take a look at that.
Don't do this.
Ooh, boy. Curve 9. Personality of this track is curve 9. Watch this picture. Slow it down. Whoa. It's the wrong way to be looking at the track with your runners airborne.
We don't have jumps here apart from in Cortina. Runners off the ice, that's not good. Well, next up for the USA, Steve Holcomb, Kurt Tomasevich. Holcomb unbeaten in World Cup racing in the 2-man this season.
Well, start, he's going to have to get into the high teens, low 21 or so to start. 26. Wow, he hasn't been behind Zubkov all year at the start. That's going to be tough to chase down Zubkov now. He might get this to 8 or 9, 8. Probably get to 9 or 10, and then might neutralize him the rest of the way down. Good lines there, though.
Familiar Matt Black on his Bodine sled.
15, this isn't.
He needs to find something here.
Yeah. Well, again, he's been having great starts. He was right up there with Lyndon Rush at the start. Now he's 800s behind Lyndon Rush. No speed. He's a kilometer and a half down. Not a bad line there out of 9. Let it flop. These are good lines here.
132 will really help him at the bottom. 133 is
biggest
really
speed
good
we've
speed.
seen so far.
How close can he get to the Russian?
Oh, he lost more time
second
back.
Away. Wow. Okay, he lost time all the way down the track.
He lost time in the first 50 meters. He's been right there with Lyndon Rush at the start all year. Now he was 800s behind Rush at the start, and behind Zubkov by 400s. He's been beating Zubkov at the start.
Wow, wasn't a bad start.
Look at his head. Look how perfect line there. Kurt Tomasevich in. Look at that. Look at the speed before Omega. It doesn't sound like much, but Rush had a better start time by 400ths than Zubkov, but Zubkov had a better 0.2 kilometers better. That tells you Zubkov got in the sled much better. Before finish there, though.
Yeah.
Whoa, was Holcomb flying on the bottom. Whoa.
Another 100 feet of ice, he'd have taken the lead.
A little perplexed, Steve Holcomb.
We talked about Kaylee Humphries in the women's race, not being behind all season. Same for Holcomb now, he is. Chris Spring of Canada. Canada 2 with Ben Cookwell on the back handles.
Good technique, Ben Cookwell. Good turnover and drive there. Dead straight, 528, pretty much like Holcomb. Will tap speed in the left, 63 flat, nowhere near the speed of the other 3 sleds. That's the load. That's getting in, getting down, getting at the right pressure point, getting over the top of that hill, getting all your weight in the sled so Mother Nature and gravity can take over. And of course, that's a tap. You saw the ice come up. Can't do that at that part of the track. Chris Spring coming off his best finish ever in Whistler. 4-man bob with a medal. So this is his first trip after that medal. Lines are good. Little skid there, though, at a 9 and a 10, which means he's got to steer around 10. You don't want to steer down here if you don't have to. 131 speed, not the number.
Coming into 4th place, 5th place finish at the bottom of the track for Chris Spring. And just to say hi to one of his brakemen who was rushed to hospital yesterday. And so there's going to be some changes in the sled. Derek Randall would have expected to be in the 4-man sled this weekend. May not slide till after Christmas.
There's the mistake. Watch him come to the left side of our screen. Watch this little tap. Doesn't sound like much, but this pushes him. Watch this. It pushes him away into the middle of the next curve. And then there's some serious steering adjustment. More steering into the, not the guy who drives the most that way, just the guy or girl who drives the least.
The next up for the USA is a re-liveried sled, National Guard sled for Nick Cunningham and Chris Vogt.
Now this is a Latvian sled here, I think.
Yeah, so this is the new one.
Is it? Looks it.
Start time, boy. Let's go, baby.
2 National Guardsmen in this sled.
No, I think this might be his sled. I think it's his 4-man that's different.
I think you're exactly right.
Well, this
exactly
looks like
right.
a Latvian, though. This doesn't look like a Bodine.
Doesn't have the familiar Bodine lozenge nose,
no.
but a good start from M524, just a couple of hundreds behind our race leader, Alexander Zubkov. Yeah, both Cunningham and Corey Button and these 2 young US pilots are coming in on a real high off the North American swing. Just avoids the wall.
Quarter second down, speed's not bad. 102 kilometer speed is what he's looking for here on the left. Oh, he's way off. Way off. A lot of trouble there. A lot of noise.
First time in Europe. Both he and Corey Button have only raced in the USA up until now. 130.7 at the bottom of the track, 8th place with a 56.27 slide. And of course, for the US athletes starting at home in North America means tracks they're more familiar with. Now they take their lead from the veterans like Steve Holcomb and the coaches. What to eat, where to go, how to find their way around all these new venues.
Here's the curve 9. You know, he doesn't make a little late. Watch him come over, tap, watch the skid sideways, back end hits. Here's some real good pictures of, it's not the line. When you get your runners up near the wood, look at them. Ooh. Coach is Brian Scheimer on the right.
Felt good going in now.
Mike Carr on the left.
Now Manuel Mahata being very cautious about when he leaves the start area. Germany already down to 2 sleds. After a big mistake by Max Arlt saw him disqualified.
Manuel has been lacking at the start. 30, probably. 32.
Wow.
You know, he came out a couple years ago and had a lot of promise, but his starts were better. And I thought just because they're in North America, the starts are bad, they're just sort of sleeping in the early part of the season and they'll peak in St. Moritz. But he's going to do anything in a 2-man bobsled. He's going to have to improve that start time. He can do all he wants down here at the bottom of speed. He's got to drive the perfect line to have a chance to get the podium now. And it's tough to drive the perfect line 2 consecutive runs.
Well, you talk about St. Moritz, the World Championship venue this season. That's one of the only tracks where the start almost doesn't matter. It's about getting the rest of the run right. But here, so much of your impetus comes in that short start area, and he could go yet. He's held on to it somehow. Exit of 12 of 13. Who gets that wrong?
Well, a lot of people.
Manny Mahata does.
Look at the coaches.
Yeah. 56.01 in 4th place, but my goodness.
You know, I talked about them sleeping in the early part of the season. I think Manuel fell asleep here between 11 and 12.
I tell you what, he woke Christian Poser up in the back seat. I don't think I've ever seen a sled do that here.
Oh.
Yeah, he laughs.
Oh, yeah, we've seen
only because they got away with it.
Usually they tip over when they watch the articulation of the sled. He's late. Watch, he's not steering. Watch this. Watch the sled split. Yipes! This is what Winterberg can do to you, right there. Look at the coaches.
Oh, yeah. Sven Röhr on the left, former brakeman, just impassive. He's just stoned. Wow, now look at this. 10 sleds down. Alexander Zubkov, our race leader. We still have 17 to go, battling for 10 places remaining in Heat 2.
Sein Club ist der BRC Riesa aus Sachsen, aber ist natürlich als Sonneberger ein Thüringer. Kevin Kuske, der Mann aus Potsdam, ist auch ein Vertreter des SC Potsdam. Sie sind Oldies, aber sie sind durchaus, wenn man an Kevin Kuske denkt und die vielen Jahre, in denen er gemeinsam mit André Lange erfolgreich war, zu olympischen Siegen, Goldmedaillen und Weltmeisterschaften fuhr. Sie sind durchaus Goldies. Vielleicht, dass sie das auch heute hier an der Kappe in Winterberg zeigen. Macht ja. Ein Moment dauert es noch, dann wird es gleich den Start geben für die Startnummer 11, Deutschland 1. Vorne lassen.
Komm jetzt auf! Komm jetzt, Florian! Komm auf! Komm jetzt, Florian!
Und nun auch da hat sich vorbereitet einer des Deutschland 1, Flositz und Kuske. Der Start ist rein. Nein, das war jetzt nicht frei. Wir nehmen die Startfreigabe durch.
Komm jetzt! Komm jetzt, alles ist Kammer!
Welcome back to Winterberg in Germany, where Thomas Florschutz is about to make his first World Cup start of the season.
Listen to the crowd. This guy swept both events last year here in Winterberg, and the giant Kevin Kuske gets in the back of the sled. 63.2, not one of the top speeds. Fourth best start time. But he flew here last year. Look how low he is on the helmet right below the cowl.
He's got to be Germany's remaining hope of a medal in bobsled. The women came up short, 700s back.
Huge speed here. He gets 102 kilometer speed here. This could be the lead.
Not as quick as Zubkov still.
No speed there, plus 10. He's going to lose more time back here at the bottom.
Okay, at the moment, only third. So still behind Alexander Zubkov and Lyndon Rush on time.
Yeah, this looks like third. Oh, no speed at all.
He might drop behind Holcomb into fifth place. Third it is, though, at the line. 200s ahead of Stephen Holcomb of the USA.
Unbelievable. Germany.
Well, you said that Florschutz, he had such a great start to the season in two-man and four-man last year. Achilles injury in Altenburg, Germany, put an end to his season. He had a pre-season injury as well. He's been racing in Europe. He's won 4 Europa Cup races, clearly. So he is back on form, but...
There's the replay showing the Kreisel. After Kreisel, he had the 6th best speed. Into Kreisel, he had good speed, 95 kilometers, but out of Kreisel, they watched the sled, you know. He must have done something in Kreisel we didn't see, because that wasn't the run I expected out of him.
There's the Russian girls who were sliding earlier on today. Now, up at the top of the track is Rico Pater, Swiss one, with Simon Friendly behind him, was racing in North America. And now he's been joined by teammate Bert Hefty, who we'll see in a couple of sleds' time. Rico Pater will probably, before mid-season, be back into Swiss 2 position. Don't expect Hefty to be going that slowly
good transition in there. Not a bad start for him, 5:30. Speed less than 63 kilometers an hour, which is just under 40 miles an hour.
But better than Oscar's Melbardis, who started 5:12 and didn't get through the first couple of corners cleanly. So every element has to be right, John. You can't just start quick and hope.
There's a few elements to the sport that all add up to success at the bottom. And this sled here has got the same speed. The German sled, Florschutz, just came down, which is good for the Swiss. A little bit under the, still way off top pace and late, bang. Now he's going to do some big steering at 10. Let's see if he caught up here at 11. Yep, 12, not bad. Decent speed.
132.7, very good.
This is a pretty quick little run.
Brings himself from...
This is a good run for him.
10th at the start, 5th at the bottom.
The Swiss like that.
9.7 slide, yeah.
That's a good run with the start time. 10th best start time, 5th best finish. He beat Mahata.
Yep, good drive.
On the German track. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is. Again, getting in is all part of the act. How far over this crest you run at Winterberg is the big question, because John, it drops away
left
real fast.
Yeah, I don't think that was a smooth get-in.
Not a bad power stride, though. That's one of the arts of the brakeman, is to just throw yourself at the sled rather than pull yourself in.
Good lines at 9, he flopped there. And then he taps here on the take-on, pushes him in the middle, left side of our screen. And when you get pushed into the middle of the curve, that means you got to steer in the middle of the next curve. Eckhard Fasser, that looked like to me down there on the right. Former Olympic champion in '88.
Next up, Justin Cripps for Canada. This is Canada 3. Brand new brakeman this weekend, Giguère Samuel from Quebec. Again, comes from a 400 meters and decathlon background.
Yeah, he's definitely got some legs.
Yeah, no kidding.
See if they can get straight.
Got some shoulders as well. Took him a moment to get in.
Great start.
Very quick.
Speed, decent. Should have been better, though, with that start. That's the entry into the sled. He drifted a little bit out of it before he got to curve 1. But, you know, he's hanging around. Germany 3, but Justin Cripps, there's a skid. Lyndon Rush Crewman, another example.
Still has the lead. Now it's drifted away because of that skid, but he led almost all the way to the Kreisel. This is not Canada 1, it's Canada 3.
While the start time on this track gives you a superior advantage. Now it gets through 9.
Nice exit.
Really good lines there.
Sounds so quiet as well, the sled. That's a sign it's running well.
Whoa, he got sucked up into the 13 or 12 there. Whoa.
7th place.
Not
that
bad.
is a good run. Good run.
He beat Chris Spring, which is something he hasn't done. But look at that start time. Start time.
100th ahead of Simone Bertazzo, and 300s behind Manuel Mahata.
Justin Cripps laboring away to get the experience. Yeah, baby, they know it's good. Start time is what he's all psyched up about.
Well, this is his first time racing in Europe as well, John, so...
His mistake, he got a little late there. Look at the back, look at the skid here. He got into that curve late. That's worth 0.15 of a second, you know.
That's where he went from
now
being
watch
the
it
leader
here.
to 2/10
11,
back.
12, late on 11, sucks him up into 12. He had to steer hard to come off, taps here. Goes in the middle of the next curve.
There is Cripps on the right-hand side. And next up is start monster Beat Hefty. Owned the start and track record. Set them both November 2008. 5:07 is the start record. And that was set with the brakeman who's still with him, Thomas Lamparter.
This is low. 5:13, 5:12.
But now the question is, has the sport passed them by? No, they've still got it. Fastest start of the heat.
Good speed, 63.4. Not, I think Zubkov had better than that. At the top.
63.2 for Zubkov, so they got the momentum on board as well.
So he had better speed also. Well, you know, him and Lamparter are
pulling away from the Russian driver. 1,500s up. 95.5. He's been sliding in Europa Cup, but he's been beaten by Florschutz every time out so far.
Florschutz didn't have a great, look at this speed, 101.1.
He's
half a
ticking
kilometer
all the
better than
boxes.
Florschutz. This is right on.
Way ahead of Zubkov
Whoa,
on
that
time.
slide got away from him there.
Somehow he
Look
hauls
at
it
his
back
speed.
in.
Only
Insanely
Holcomb
fast.
at speed like that. Wow.
Track record. Yay. He beats his own track record, takes it back from the others. 55.42. John, that is 44 hundredths quicker than 2008.
In every discipline we've seen so far this weekend, they broke the track record.
Wow, these
Four down.
records are going to stand a long time. Justin Cripps, first time in Winterberg, he's going to think it's like this the whole time, except of course it snowed and it was misty all through training.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a day of days,
Yeah,
a week of weeks.
Well, here's a 10. He jives out of 10. When he comes out, look at that. He flops off that curve. And here, you know, this is an example, I think, of a guy just, I'm not going to steer. And sometimes the rough rides are the fastest.
Well, he doesn't do his trademark barrel roll out of the final corner to win the race, but he might have
his Swiss
saved that.
teammate third, too.
Yeah, those Citius sleds.
Flying.
Wow, they're going to be motoring in the World Championships in Saint-Moritz. Yeah, he's talking about that. Okay, next up, John Jackson. John Baines on the back of the GB1 two-man sled. A lot of noise from the fans here for everybody at the top of the track.
Well, Jocko needs to start. 27. Look at the rudder tips, though. Speeds. Look at that. He's a half a kilometer down in speed already.
Same as Oscar's Melbardis. But again, Melbardis had that problem in the first couple of corners off an epically fast start.
Listen, Jocko doesn't want to do what Melbardis did. He's in 12.
That's for sure.
So he needs to be perfect. Look at that. A lot of rudder tip flex there.
Just caught the skid, but it all takes time away. He's got
way off the pace.
27 to 42 back. Drops out of the top 10 spots. Big day yesterday for British sliding. Shelley Rudman took gold. Another clatter there in the women's
watch
skeleton.
out here. He's late.
Paula Walker crashed in training on Thursday, but Jacko keeps it up.